Mephibosheth, a name that rolls off the tongue like a forgotten dream. He was the son of Jonathan and the grandson of King Saul, the man whom God rejected because of his stubborn disobedience. Born into privilege, he was destined for greatness, or so it seemed. But fate, it seems, had something else in store for him. You see, Mephibosheth's story isn't one of grand conquests or heroic feats. No, his story is one of loss, of tragedy, and yet ultimately of hope. It is a testament to the unwavering nature of God's covenant and the boundless extent of his mercy. Let us dive into the narrative of this forgotten prince and uncover the profound truths that his life holds for us today. Picture this, a 5-year-old boy going about his daily life, unaware of the turmoil that brews on the horizon. That was Mephibosheth. His world revolved around his father, Jonathan, the son of King Saul, and his grandfather, the revered King Saul himself. But their reign, it was on the rocks. Jealousy, disobedience, and wars with the Philistines had eroded Saul's kingdom. And now David, the future King David, was on the rise. Little Mephibosheth couldn't comprehend the political chessboard being played out around him, but soon he would be thrust into its center. Then came the fateful day that turned his life upside down. When Mephibosheth was just 5 years old, a battle erupted, a clash between Saul's forces and their enemies. In the heat of the moment, as everyone was focused on the fight, no one noticed that the young prince was in danger. His nurse, in a panic, fled the scene, inadvertently dropping him and leaving him permanently crippled. Imagine the confusion and fear that must have filled Mephibosheth's heart as he realized what had happened. The prince of Israel, the heir to the throne, had become an outcast cripple. Life as he knew it had vanished. But here's where things take an unexpected turn. You see, Jonathan, Mephibosheth's father, had sworn an unbreakable bond of friendship with David, promising that David's offspring would one day rule over Israel and that Jonathan's descendants would serve under him. Now, despite Saul's fall from grace, Jonathan's line was still bound to David by this oath of eternal brotherhood. Mephibosheth, though broken and forgotten, was the living embodiment of this covenant. As time went on, David ascended to the throne, and King Saul's bloodline seemed destined to meet a violent end. After all, it was customary for new kings to eliminate the previous ruler's heirs, ensuring there was no threat to their newfound power. But David, he surprised everyone, including himself. Years after becoming king, he asked a simple yet profound question: "Is there anyone left of Saul's house, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?" This wasn't just an act of charity. It was a commitment to honor an oath made to his friend Jonathan, an assurance that the descendants of Jonathan would never be forsaken. When Mephibosheth was brought before David, he was fearful, believing that his days were numbered. But David's response was unexpected. He extended an olive branch, offering Mephibosheth the restoration of his grandfather's land and a place at David's table as family, stating, "You shall eat at my table always." This wasn't just a handout. It was a declaration that Mephibosheth, despite his condition, was more than welcome in David's court. He was to be part of the royal family. But why? Why did David treat Mephibosheth this way? It was because of the bond he shared with Jonathan, a bond that transcended political rivalries and past hurts. It was a testament to the power of friendship and the importance of keeping one's word. Mephibosheth's story is a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. It shows that even when all seems lost, there can still be a glimmer of hope, a chance for a new beginning. In the case of Mephibosheth, it wasn't just about restoring his birthright. It was about giving him a future. It was about showing him that he was valued, not pitied. David didn't look at Mephibosheth's disability as a burden. Instead, he saw him as a son, a member of his extended family. It was an act of pure grace, a grace that defies the norms of the time and challenges societal perceptions. In a world where people might have pitied and shunned Mephibosheth, David embraced him. He didn't let King Saul's past transgressions define Mephibosheth's future. Instead, he chose to honor the legacy of Jonathan and uphold his end of their ancestral pact. This wasn't just a noble gesture. It was a profound lesson in leadership, a demonstration of how a leader should treat not just his enemies, but even his rivals' families. David didn't hold back. He showed no animosity towards Mephibosheth because of his lineage. He didn't let past grudges dictate his present actions. He chose to extend a hand of fellowship, an olive branch of peace. This act of magnanimity didn't go unnoticed. Mephibosheth, who had been living in obscurity, was given a platform, a place in the spotlight that was rightfully his. He wasn't merely tolerated. He was celebrated. And celebrate we must. Not just because David kept an ancient oath, but because he showed us all what it means to be truly human, truly compassionate, and truly righteous. Mephibosheth's story also echoes with the advent of Christianity. In New Testament times, many Jewish people believed that the Messiah would restore the fortunes of the house of Israel. They looked forward to a time when they would be freed from oppression and live under the rule of their Messiah, the descendant of King David. So the reappearance of Mephibosheth in the narrative, albeit in a small way, can be seen as a foreshadowing of this hope. It's as if the narrative is saying, just as David kept his ancient oath to Jonathan, so too will the Messiah keep his promises to his people. Furthermore, Mephibosheth's humility in accepting his condition and his resilience in the face of adversity mirror the spirit of those early Christians who, despite persecution and hardship, held on to their faith and proclaimed the message of the Messiah. In a world where society often looks down upon those who are different or less fortunate, Mephibosheth stands as a symbol of courage and acceptance. He teaches us to embrace those who society shuns, to value them not in spite of their differences, but because of them. Now, as you reflect on the story of Mephibosheth, consider this. How do you treat those who are different from you? Do you embrace them, value their uniqueness, and celebrate their lives? Or do you let societal pressures dictate your actions? Mephibosheth challenges us to look beyond appearances, to see the inherent worth of every human being and to treat them with the dignity and respect they deserve. He invites us to be agents of change, to break down barriers and to build bridges of understanding and acceptance. Imagine a world where everyone is accepted and valued, where differences are celebrated, and where compassion and kindness are the norm. That's the world that Mephibosheth helps us envision. His story challenges us to be the architects of this world, to build a society where every child, regardless of their circumstances, knows that they are loved, they are accepted, and they have a place at the table. The story of Mephibosheth reminds us that sometimes God works through unlikely heroes. It was a young boy abandoned in the chaos of war, a boy who faced the daunting prospect of life as an outcast cripple. But instead of succumbing to despair, he chose to persevere. And in doing so, he became a beacon of hope, a symbol of resilience, and a living testament to the power of the human spirit. So the next time you find yourself facing seemingly insurmountable challenges, remember the story of Mephibosheth. Draw strength from his example, courage from his spirit, and hope from his story. Let his life be a guiding light, leading you through the darkness of despair to the brighter shores of hope and perseverance. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the life of Mephibosheth. If you found inspiration in his story, I invite you to share this message with others. Together, let's spread the message of hope, resilience, and acceptance that he embodies. Until next time, may you be blessed with the courage to face your challenges, the strength to overcome obstacles, and the grace to embrace life in all its fullness.